1 year ago, I started my Warframe journey, and man, I was not expecting what I got. I was not expecting this game to be this big, and yeah, now here I am. So this is going to be my view on the game. It may differ between veteran players and other people with different playstyles, but then again, it may also share some views or even give a unique perspective. However, there will be a few spoilers ahead, which I will make sure I give a warning about before they are talked about. Spoilers are a big thing in this game, and I'm not going to be the guy to spoil it for new players without a warning. So why did I choose Warframe? Well, if I'm going to be honest, it was actually my second choice. I was originally going to play the first Descendant, but yeah, there was let's just say too much skin. So yeah, that's why I chose Warframe, with no other reason. Honestly, I was really just looking for a new game at the time, especially a free one, and I never really heard of Warframe before this or ever saw a video. I strictly saw this on Steam and just started playing it. So that said, here are my overall thoughts on Warframe after playing for a year. For you new players, maybe this will help you understand some of the things that make this game amazing. For you veteran players, hopefully this will give you a good view on what the new game experience is like for newer people. So with all that being said, let's begin. I really want to start off with the graphics of this game. Like, holy crap! For a 12-year-old game, almost 13-year-old game, the graphics are actually insane. Granted, the game looks like it got at least a few graphical updates throughout the years. Like, if you look at past footage, you can really see the difference from today. Like, no offense, but it does look like it went from a Nintendo DS game to a fully fledged new game. Granted, it did look like Dark Sector at the beginning, which makes total sense since it was meant to be a predecessor game. But of course, I am playing on quite a decent PC, so the graphics are meant to be good. But I loaded this up on my PS5 and honestly couldn't tell a difference. It could be that I just need glasses, but they both look the same to me. Compared to most games nowadays, it's kind of crazy that first of all, the graphics got better over time. Most games don't make those updates. Second, it also stands against most new games. And third, I can't tell the difference on console compared to PC, like I just said. Not only that, but the designs are amazing, for the most part anyway. Take a look at a few Warframes. Gauss Prime, Ureli Prime, Caliban Prime, Kome, and Mesa Prime all look awesome. But then we have Corvex. Yeah, that design is indeed something interesting, but it's not bad. And think of some of the weapons. The Hate, Nautaruk, etc. Prime, and the Broken War all look badass. The great thing about this game is the uniqueness of the gear, and it still looks more high quality than some of the newer games. I'm looking at you, Call of Duty. So I gotta give big props to DE because I love the look of the game and they genuinely did such a good job. Maybe in the future they'll make it even better because we all know this game will continue for like a million years after this. So to start off, let's go with a spoiler warning because I will be talking about the story and a bunch of missions, so if you don't want to get spoiled, skip past this part, and I really recommend not spoiling the game for yourself. So anyway, this story kind of blew my mind, and I had never really imagined how impressive and extensive it is. Granted, they had 12 years to craft and refine the story, but overall, it is great. There are many missions in this game, and I will not go through every exact one, so I'll talk about the main story ones, or at least the ones I remember. One last time, major spoiler warning, I wouldn't want to be that guy who spoils this. So the Deviri Paradox was good, it was fun and enjoyable, however there was one problem. I played it early. Now to some people that was a problem, to others it honestly didn't matter all too much. I am in between whether it mattered and didn't matter. Yes, there were some things that would have been better to learn later on, but honestly, at the time of playing it, I didn't make the connection. On top of that, I didn't really spoil much, being that I didn't know enough to get spoiled by anything. It really just posed more questions that eventually did get answered. The worst thing that happened was that I understood something later on, and it may have taken away some of the surprise from later quests, but that isn't a huge deal to me. My favorite part of this quest is how well it links with the new war quest. When the Lotus and Teshin fell into the void, it coincided with a cutscene in this mission. It is best to see this mashed up in a video somewhere on the internet. I watched it and it is actually quite interesting to see. Now the thing I'm not a huge fan of is the combat. Mainly the drifter part, it honestly isn't for me. Now it's not a deal breaker, I don't hate this quest because of it, but personally it just isn't as fun as wiping the floor with a cool Warframe. However, every now and then it is just a little bit fun. And now with the Nata quest, I forgot most of it. I mean, I did replay it, but honestly, it wasn't too entertaining to play. The lore was actually really good, and it was a big surprise to see the Lotus used to be a sentient. This quest also introduced Teshin and Hunhao, which happened to be a big part in some quests going forward. Other than that, it was just a mediocre quest to me. Now, the second dream wasn't as big a deal for me as it was to other people. Now, the Deviri paradox probably didn't help. It also didn't help being called Tenno by Lotus all the time and by other people. It definitely makes you think that there's something behind this Warframe, because we do know that they're called Warframes. So why would I think that the Warframe's a Tenno? I didn't understand that part. So it didn't come off as a big surprise to me. Don't get me wrong, it was a really cool quest. I did like it. I liked seeing Lotus, Stalker, and the Operator, and I liked unlocking the Operator. So, you know, fashion frame. But overall, it just wasn't as big a deal for me as I am sure it was for players at the very beginning. But I can also understand the importance of the quest, especially to new players. For the longest time, no one knew what the Tenno was, and now that they know, it was just a big turning point in the story. And I can only imagine what it felt like when the quest first came out. But it was nice to see a more cinematic quest other than the first few I played. It gave me a few questions that did eventually get answered, and it was also nice to see the Stalker with the War Sword. I was overjoyed to get the Broken War. I genuinely thought it was the coolest thing, and the Stalker was cool too, I guess. Now, I did like the War Within a lot more than the second dream. I could have missed something, but I think this quest was a good overall introduction to the Grineer Queens and Liches. Along with that, I thought the way the Tenno earned their powers was really good. I did not like looking at the ugly lady's face though, freaking Gulper from Skylanders looking ass. So anyway, at first the mountain area was a little sluggish in my opinion, but I think the mix of cutscenes, teaching, and unique challenges was what saved it. It didn't really feel bad in the end, and it was even just a little bit fun. I just wish I could see the Golden Maws again. I really thought they were pretty cool. I also thought the final battle was pretty cool. I had to fight Teshin, and I could obviously tell he didn't want to fight. And when I took the head clean off the Elder Queen, it also was very satisfying, and not just because she was ugly. Along with that, towards the end, we had a look at an incoming enemy, the Indifference. At the end, the Indifference makes an appearance and says their classic line, "Hey kiddo." Yeah, that was interesting, but I think at the end it was just kind of went over my head when I first did the quest, of course. Next is the Chains of Haro, and before I played this quest, I was told I would be scared. Yeah, everyone was wrong. I don't get scared easily. However, I can see how it would be scary to people not expecting it to be that dark and spooky. This quest was the first, well, technically second interaction I had with the Man in the Wall, and it was interesting to say the least. I liked seeing and hearing about another Tenno other than just mine, especially when I heard so much more about Rel after this quest. He was different than the others, but then he was also treated differently, which is a hard reality in this world, and I don't have much bad things to say about this quest, but overall, it was really thought-provoking more than anything. Now, the sacrifice, I think, kind of made me fall in love with the game fully. This is where it kind of just truly turned for me story-wise, at least. I was sold on the gameplay before this quest, but the lore of this quest blew it out of the water for me. I had no idea what Warframes were, and this described a lot. Essentially, in lack of better words, the Warframes are or were people, and some like Excalibur Umbra still had a part of them inside, which is terrifying. Could you imagine being turned into a puppet? Because that is what they are, and it's incredibly morbid. Getting Excalibur Umbra and learning who Ballas was a huge game changer for me. Even at the end, finding a sentient pick Ballas up, which was Lotus or Nata, it was just crazy to see and made me excited and invested into the story officially. I also really loved the look of the Skiajati and the Excalibur Umbra. They both look incredibly badass and awesome. One thing I did learn is that I need to equip amps because I did this quest without one for the very first time, and it actually made it take a while to do, and the Excalibur parts was kind of sucky, but it's fine because the quest was genuinely crazy other than that. However, the new war was even crazier. It took like 3 to 4 hours, and it was just so incredible to play. I really enjoyed it, and the whole story was just amazing. The scenes, the gameplay, everything was near perfect, especially when everything tied in with the Deviri paradox. I got to play as a Grineer Call. 10 out of 10, everyone loves him. It was really cool. Then the Corpus guy we played as, Victor or something, I didn't really care much about. I'm gonna be honest, it just wasn't as fun. And then we also got to play as Teshin, which was actually really epic to play as. It's just a shame we can't really play as him anymore, unless you would play the quest again. I guess. Eventually, we got to a cutscene where Teshin was thrown into the void and Lotus's hand was chopped off, then landing the hand and Teshin into Deviri, linking it with the Drifter and somehow bringing the Drifter into the order system, and yeah, that gets a little confusing. But getting to play as the Drifter and learn about Archons was just really fun. As much as I like Deviri, the Drifter part isn't my favorite, so it was nice to play as him in another setting. I just really did not like the stealthy parts, that kind of sucked. But playing as Drifter made me realize that I do agree a little bit with how Deviri should have come after the quest, playability wise, but it didn't completely ruin everything for me. I would have rather played it after, but it's still not necessary. Overall, it was a great quest. It connected a lot of things for me and brought me closer to the story, ultimately making me love the story even more. Then after it was all done, we did get to keep the Nautaruk that we used during the quest, and it easily became one of my favorite weapons in the game. Not just because it's good, but because it is dope looking bow, and I do love bows in games, so that just made the quest even better for me. Now after that, the Angels of the Zariman happened, and I have to say, I do love the look of the Zariman. It looks amazing, and the Angel of the Zariman creature thing does look even better. Now this quest was way shorter than I expected. I figured this would be made to be just like a bigger part of the game. Don't get me wrong, it was extremely important, just not the way I expected. But if I'm gonna be honest, I am just a little confused on how the Zariman got out of the void. I learned that it happened in the new war, but it just either went over my head at the time or just didn't fully get mentioned. I do remember going to the Zariman in the quest, and I just don't remember it being mentioned that it returned. But the holdfasts were pretty cool though, and unlocking the Incarnats was also pretty awesome. One of my favorite things is the bounties, because it is one of those syndicates that you just aren't capped by standing. Well, technically it is, but you could just still do bounties without wasting standing because you get void plumes instead, and I really like those kind of bounties. Now, for the next quest, Whispers in the Walls, I'm gonna be honest, I did not turn out how I thought it would. I thought it would be something similar to Chains of Haro, where it involved the Man in the Wall only, but it turned out to be something with Albrecht and Trotty and the Man in the Wall, which was actually really cool. At first, I thought Lloyd was another version of Albrecht. Of course, I was wrong. The only sucky thing is that this quest, despite how cool it was, didn't resonate with me too much. I forgot a lot of it, and it just didn't help that I don't really like the Cavia. Tagfer and Bird 3 are alright, but Fibonacci is crap. I just don't like him. But this quest was a good introduction to the greater plan of Albrecht in 1999. I played as Arthur for a little bit, we then saw Albrecht and Kalimos, and this quest also gave a bigger spotlight to the Indifference, which obviously is the next big bad guy. I will say the Murmur are pretty cool, Corvex is very interesting, and the bounties suck, because honestly, I was tired of the bounties. Alchemy was alright, but honestly, I just didn't want to do the other ones. Also, the arcane stuff with Vosper, and that's just really nice, especially when some arcanes take just a little while to get. Now, Jade Shadows was really cool. It was a nice kind of like intermediate quest in between bigger quests. It was extremely fun to play as a stalker and feel kind of overpowered, and seeing those really high numbers it just made me feel amazing because I wasn't hitting those high numbers at the time. It was also even cooler to hear the lore about Stalker and Jade and how they became Warframes. I did find it a little weird though that a Warframe was pregnant. It does make sense that that could happen, but really, what is going to happen when that Warframe grows up? Can it grow up? Are we going to be able to use the Warframe, or will they just attack us like the Stalker will? Or will they just never grow up, or will the game just end before they do grow up? I don't know. Now, the Hex quest was actually incredibly unique. I liked seeing the Drifter get a bigger part in the story, other than the new war. I thought all the cutscenes were great, and how the story played out just actually brought more questions than answers, especially when all the Hex members died. But when I eventually got to the finale of the mission, I ended up saving every member. When I started the quest, I thought I'd have to replay the whole quest, however, I did not. It was really nice not to have to do that. Instead, I just had to replay the quest and the moments and the members who died, but they actually didn't die because the Drifter used transference to save them. Now, I love this environment, and it's rather unique with an interesting story. I do understand the side of some people not liking the quest because it doesn't feel like Warframe anymore, but to be fair, they are probably veteran players. But as a newer player, how I see it, Warframe is whatever Warframe wants to be. I will change, It will change. It might stay the same. I might stay the same. I don't know. Only time will tell. The dating and messaging is interesting to say the least though. It's like DE is saying their whole player base is single and alone, so they did that, which is probably wrong, but it's not wrong for me. The kiss scenes are interesting as well. I want to point out though, I always point this out, people love Eleanor, but Eleanor says her tongue has like scales or something similar to toenails that need to be clipped, which I don't know why people would want to kiss that. It's weird. Definitely not my thing, but that's literally all I wanted to say. Now for other quests, like side quests, they were okay. None of them really stood out to me, but they weren't bad. Well, except for a few of them. Those few could really use an update. I don't know if they would do that, but being Vor has been reworked, I don't see why not. I understand side quests aren't supposed to be fully fledged out quests, but some really grind my gears. Like Limbo Theorem, which really annoyed me. In Limbo Theorem, I played Archwing Interception and 3 excavation missions. The excavators had no in-mission dialogue, and the dialogue we did get during the quest was Ordis stumbling through random crap pertaining to Limbo and barely telling us anything. And I mean, I understand what Ordis said for the most part, but it just wasn't fun to do. You do an Archwing mission, then craft something, then excavator, then craft something, then excavator, then craft something, then excavator. It was not entertaining, to be honest. And I even heard that like there was a while back where you actually had to wait for the parts a full time, but that just sounds awful. But then again, there are just side quests and it is a huge thing. It's just a crappy feeling. But overall, I thought the story was good, and I think it's only getting better from here. So I'm excited to see what happens and see the future of this game through the story. And of course, I'm doing some lore stuff, so I'm gonna be really learning as much as I can on this. So yeah, story, I'll say good solid story. Now onto the gameplay. I'm gonna pretty much just talk about each individual thing and just my thoughts and everything like that, similar to what I did with missions. So yeah, there's really no spoilers. Well, I guess there is kind of some spoilers to mission types, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So if you do want to watch it, you're not going to get spoiled incredibly bad. So just kind of be wary though. It's kind of borderline spoiler territory, so just watch out for that. So to start off, I want to say that the circuit is incredibly fun. I say that now when I still have to do the Steel Path circuit each week. Oh God. But the randomness of frames and weapons and decrees and just overall the whole thing just makes it potentially easy or hard, and I really enjoy it. It's like a roguelite, but it's not it's kind of is a roguelite, but it's just really incredibly fun despite having to do it all the damn time. I do think it would be nice though to add a few more modes other than excavator, survival, and all that junk, and it would be nice to have more decrees to keep the game a little bit fresh, but I mean, it's fine for now, I guess. Now, Allweaver did a great job to refresh the mode just a little bit. It did suck that it was pretty much the exact same thing each time, which got even more repetitive, even faster. With the whole operation that got added with the Allweaver, it was just a sad turnout. I got everything from the operation, and frankly, I just don't want to touch the mode anymore. Granted, it is great for Pathos Clamps, and the Scuddler Husks are decent for Kuva, but I wouldn't farm for it specifically. Now, with the Drifter gameplay, it is fun for maybe like an hour, but it gets incredibly boring after playing it repetitively. So it's something that has to be done in small doses, at least for me. I know many other people don't like it, but it's just iffy for me overall. So I don't have a strong opinion towards it. It's just kind of there. Now, Archwing, overall, it's pretty cool. Farming Affinity can get quite tedious, but it's not as bad as other things. It is quite nice to be able to use them in open world areas. I personally don't use them as much, but I'm trying to, because there are teleporters and yeah, stuff like that. But they do have their uses, especially for hunting. I do wish an update comes eventually, so it adds more missions, Archwings, and weapons. After building one, I really don't see any other reason to build the other ones. I also just want more uses with the Archwings because I believe there is potential to make it even more fun, but it just isn't in the game yet. Submersible missions suck. I hate them. They suck. End of story. I don't like how slow they can be. I don't like the fact that I have to switch between Archwing and normal gameplay all the time. And I will admit, some of them aren't that bad, but overall, I don't like the feel of it. I like the index, kind of. I like it for emergency credits. I do wish there were more tile sets and diversity, but it is really nice to have this option for credits. I could get quite a bit of credits fast if I really tried hard, but just I don't do it a lot. I only do it if I need it. Railjack is fun, but similar to Deviri, it only is fun for me moments at a time. I liked it for a bit when I needed endo and I couldn't really do arbitrations or high level bounties, but honestly I just got bored with it. I wanted to get past the Railjack part and into the Warframe part, to be honest. Bounties and standing, I will admit, when it comes to this, I was not really ready for it. Frankly, I did not want to do any of it, but eventually bounties grew on me, and even the Cephalon Samar standing grew on me. Just the only standing I didn't really like doing were the Quills and Vent Kids. I guess my favorite bounties overall were the Hex. I was happy to do it, any of the modes except Assassination. The Kavya bounties, for some reason, felt sluggish. I'm not fully sure why. And when it comes to Zerman bounties, I really only wanted to do Exterminate and Void Flood. So yeah, but bounties were kind of fun for the most part. And I don't want to say this, but Fortuna, I hate that. Probably worse than the Kavya bounties if I'm going to be honest, but all of them are okay at least. Now arbitrations, once I eventually unlocked them, I actually loved them. Mainly the infested defense and survivals, but for the most part, the others were actually fine. Except for defection, of course, because that one sucked a big booty hole. So yeah. But other than that, loved arbitrations, especially for the endo. I ended up getting so many treasures that honestly, I don't know what to do with them right now. I also found out that if you get the right tile set for defenses, you could just essentially camp and not move around that much, which has allowed me to get quite a few high round runs. Whether I got lucky with my drops or not is just a completely different story though. Sorties are fun and all, but gonna be honest, I'm not the most compelled to do them. Other than the Revens and potential legendary core, I don't see a reason to do them every day. Maybe every once in a while, but definitely not every day. However, Archon hunts are a lot better. You get similar rewards to the sortie, but you can get an Archon shard along with it. The Archon shard has an increasing chance to get a Tau Forged one, but you can only do it once a week, which makes it a lot worse than sorties. Also, these are a lot more challenging, but I think overall I prefer these over the sorties. On top of that, we have Netrocells, which we can do like 5 a week. You can get a lot more of these goodies along with an Archon shard. These are fun, but does get repetitive compared to the sorties and Archon hunts, which have 3 different missions. Now you can also do EDA or just normal DA or Temporal Archimedia, Deep Archimedia, stuff like that. I haven't really delved into that too much because honestly, I don't want to get a group together, but I mean, I've done them a little bit and I'm sure they get a lot more Archon shards than this. And depending on the roles, I do find Archimedias, the Archimedia stuff, I do kind of find it fun, but it's just not my go-to thing to do. Now, Steel Path is actually really fun. I didn't think I'd actually like it when I first started hearing about Steel Path, but now I'm here, I completed the whole star chart and I have about 4 Warframes that can handle Steel Path with just a little handful of weapons. And I'm not actually disliking it. I'm actually having a lot of fun when it comes to Steel Path and I never thought I would. And it's actually kind of easier than I thought as well. Now, I don't use Steel Path the whole time because sometimes I just want to breeze through missions in normal mode, but Steel Path is always there as an option for me. On top of that, I was always told this isn't a mandatory part of the game, so that's why I don't really play it too often. But, you know, building my gear for it, that just makes it like feel nice because if I can conquer Steel Path and with my builds, I just know that I can conquer anything else in the game. And I haven't gotten to level cap other than a circuit yet, but one day I will, and I'm sure it'll be fun getting to that point. Maybe. Actually, probably not, because it'll probably take a lot of time. Now, lastly, there is multiplayer in this game. Of course, it is like an online game, similar to Destiny, similar to other games I don't know of because I don't think about them. But it does allow you to play all content in single player, which I like. I enjoy single player, so I can do my own thing. I can pause if I need to and feel accomplished by farming everything I need. Now, don't get me wrong, multiplayer does have its uses. However, my biggest problem with multiplayer was that I got carried a lot, or I could have gotten carried a lot. Sometimes to me, it's just not genuinely fun to get carried. It just simply isn't. That's why I stick with single player a bit more. There are times I'm fine with getting carried, like in Netrocells or Relic openings, since I'm just wanting to get those done. But I do try pulling my weight, but just overall, if I'm getting carried, what am I doing? It's not really playing the game anymore, I'm just kind of there. That is why this game is so good, because all of the content can be soloed. Whether it is hard or not is another story, but overall the content is for everyone. It's for the people who want to be carried, it's for the people who want to play by themselves. It's just truly the game, like the perfect game for multiplayer and a multiplayer online service, and I feel like it takes on that multiplayer aspect really well. But overall, the gameplay of the game is really fun. It's addicting. I still find myself playing it constantly. Now my pinky kind of hurts with bullet jumping, but that's besides the point. I think people will get used to that. I might get arthritis eventually in it, but I'm sure it's fine. And just like the story, it's definitely a great loop. There's some things that are boring, there's some things that are repetitive, but for the most part, it is fun to play this game because there's so many things to do. And even if you get bored with one thing, you can just go to another thing. So like I said, I think the gameplay is really damn fun. After I started playing, I soon found out that the game's replayability is off the chart. It's actually like crazy. There are so many weapons and warframes to try, even companions, archwings, necromechs, stuff like that. Like, just don't even get me started on the endless amount of builds and other small things you can work towards. There are just thousands on thousands of hours worth of stuff to do for this game. At the moment, there are 109 warframes and 554 weapons in the game, and that is not counting companions and other stuff like that, all of which can be acquired for free. All it takes is some hard work to get, some more than others of course, so having these many things to get adds a crap ton of replayability, especially for all those completionists like me. Some of my favorite warframes are Caliban, of course, like who doesn't love Caliban? Gauss, Kome, Araxia, Valkyr, and Titania. They're all really fun, and I'm sure there's plenty more that I still have yet to build at this time, but I'm having a lot of fun with them, and they're extremely useful to at least me, and I just simply enjoy playing them. Not to mention that I was given Caliban for free because of his rework when I first started. So if I didn't like him, I think there'd be something wrong with me. As for my favorite weapons, I really love the Nautaruk. Like, that's my go-to weapon since after completing the new war. I love the Epitaph Prime, love the Vidaria Prime, however you say that, the Thalys, many of the Incarnans, and all of the Skanas are pretty cool. However, there are just hundreds more for me to check out, and it's just kind of hard to pinpoint one favorite. Another plus is constant updates. Since I started playing, there have been 2 major updates. The Hex plus the addition of Flare and those groups of people or proto-frames, and Eye-Weaver happened. Not to mention, Kome and the 5 Fates happened right when I started, and on top of that, 4 primes were made, including Zaku Prime, Lavos Prime, Yoreli Prime, and Caliban Prime. With how often DE updates the game, Warframe continues to stay fresh for many of the new and old players. I am 1,140 hours into the game and I am still not bored. I continue finding new weapons to grind for, new builds to make, and even new challenges to complete. That's why this game is so top notch. I believe that this may be one of the most replayable games out there because by the time I max out everything, which will still take a while, I may want to make a new account already, and I have many ideas for that, especially a Caliban only run, where I only farm for Caliban and get as many Calibans as I can and get as many Caliban weapons as I can. Yeah, that will be interesting. But yeah, replayability is pretty good for this game. So I was lucky to get thrown into a super nice and welcoming community. I've only met a handful of rude people, or maybe I was rude to them. I'm not sure, but it was just really freaking cool to see. There was tons of feedback and helpful advice for this game, and that was only the beginning. So you can gift stuff in the game, and people were super nice and sent me a few gifts. I did end up turning them off because I didn't really want to be gifted a lot. As much as I do appreciate them and all that, I was given a Steinax that made me turn it off, which once again, I did appreciate it. I just didn't want to be given all this stuff like that, you know? But imagine if you were a platinum billionaire, which I don't know if there's actually anyone who's a billionaire with platinum, but there could be. But just imagine you did this and you played with friends. Imagine how many stugs you can gift them. I would do that in a freaking heartbeat. Just give a freaking stug a day to your friend and they would probably hate you for the rest of your life. Just imagine like they have to open the gift because what if it's not stug? What if that just one chance that they do not open the gift because they think it's going to be a stug is just a super awesome item? Like they have to, and everyone's going to do that. No one's just not going to open a gift. And yeah, but I'd never do that because that's a lot of platinum and I don't want to waste platinum on that. So yeah, but it would be funny. But anyway, there are of course a ton of people within the comments who helped me a lot. Comments big and small helped a lot, and I actually just learned most of what I know from the comments. And it even led me to create a Discord, and definitely not because my live stream chats forced me to. Definitely not. I may be over exaggerating that a bit, but the point still stands that everyone who left a comment helped, whether it was a video feedback, feedback on builds, or even helpful tips that I may forget a lot. But I truly appreciate it each time, and I do try to read it as often as I can. So yeah, the community is pretty good. They're pretty awesome, and I once again appreciate everyone in it, except for just a few people who were just rude for no reason and probably had a stick up their ass. But everyone who was kind, I really do appreciate it. I would probably not be playing this game without y'all's help. So now I'm just going to go off a few more things I just want to quickly mention. There's a daily login that can potentially give some really good things. Most popular is the platinum coupons, making platinum cost a lot cheaper, which platinum is the premium currency. If I haven't said that already, it can reach upwards to around 70% off, which is actually insane. There are also other rewards like exclusive weapons and prime mods. It does take quite a bit of time to get to that point, like hundreds of days, but it keeps you playing and wanting to come back. And finally, you are able to get various resources, which increase as time goes on, I think. Lastly, this game is extremely free to play. Like, I thought it was a joke at first, but seeing this and seeing that I can get everything I want as long as I try, of course, I can just get as much platinum as I want without even having to pay real money. All I have to do is spend some time and sell items to other players like fish, because that is obviously the best way to do it. Along with that, if players link their accounts to Twitch, they can tune into occasional Twitch live streams from DE. This will sometimes award the player with free things like Orkin reactors, Forma, and very rarely Warframes, along with that occasional alerts that drop during different events that can also give those different types of things. Honestly though, I can't really speak for the free-to-play because I have spent just a little bit of money on the game, mainly on platinum for weapons and other slots, and maybe Caliban Prime. But that game is still super free to play. Just keep in mind you can still buy stuff, but you don't got to, and that's really nice. There is a lot more I could say that either I forgot to say or don't have a good spot in this video, but overall, this is what I think about the game. It's good, like really good. Like I said at the beginning, I was not thinking this game would be that big for me, but here I am. I am stuck in Warframe's grasp and unfortunately can no longer escape. I blame everyone watching. You all gave me good advice. Now, here I am actually somewhat knowledgeable on this stuff, so I can't stop playing now. It's pretty much illegal if I were to stop playing this, so that's great. But anyway, with that being said, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe like or subscribe. I don't really give a crap, like always, and maybe just join the Discord and link below. I don't really care either. So yeah, I guess I'll just see you in the next video.